All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Just Noise podcast. Today we are doing a second installment, Just Noise Boys here. So again, I've got Logan and we've got Dylan Medina. Guys, how we doing tonight?
Doing good.
Doing good. Trying to stay cool. It's hot out here.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I got my fan going in the background. And it's just barely cutting it. So yeah. Well, cool. We want to do some highlights tonight. We want to run through some Myspace Revival stuff. We've talked about it here in the past. If you followed us in the podcast, we really like how all these new younger bands are kind of going in this style. They were inspired by a lot of the original deathcore sound, a la Suicide Silence especially. I hear a lot of that influence. So let's get right into it, boys. Who wants to go first?
I'll start it off. I'm cool with that. I'm gonna do Reverent Last Trace. I like this EP a lot. It has a lot of different elements to it when you really like sit down and listen to it. It's not just I don't know. It's not just generic. Like it comes across that at first. I feel like the first time you listen to it, but when you really like dive into it, I think it has a lot more to offer than what it does the first listen through. I feel like. Uh, I don't know, just like all the blown out 808s are really cool. Like it's just so ridiculous and really sets you back to that time when, those early MySpace days when it was just, I don't know,
Get
deathcore was
whatever
really
you can,
fun.
get what you can get recorded, and you don't care about the quality, and yeah, and make the
Yeah,
bass drops loud as fuck.
yeah, just make it rattle everything. Like I don't know, it's just those things are awesome. And then they do three guitarists. I think that's just cool. Like I don't know why I like that aspect. It's not needed whatsoever, but it's really cool and it adds to live performance for them. Like I don't know if you guys watched either of the videos I sent in our chat, but like their live performances are pretty unhinged. Like they
Hmm.
kids are just going nuts for them. It's pretty crazy. And I like the riffs that they do. They do a lot of like I don't know, they're just really nasty. Like when you listen to the guitar work, it's really good. Like the riffs have a lot of like the old school feel, but they still have that new school. Like I don't know, they're doing a lot more than it sounds like on the. It sounds really good. I really enjoyed that part. And then the different vocal styles, the gang vocals and the inhales.
Hmm.
This was one of my first EPs I heard that was like, oh wow, this revival is like really happening and like really committing to that sound of those. Yeah, that intro is, it sets the tone for what they're going for. Just those huge bass drops and 808s. Um, this is like, I think it's, to me, it reminds me of like the first time I listened to it, I was like, man, this feels like it's kind of iconic in a way because it's just so commits to the bit about it, and it just reminds me a lot of like some of the MySpace core albums that I've found that I'm just like, this band didn't have a huge following, or maybe they didn't blow up the way, but this EP or album just stands out and still holds up really well. Um, so yeah, I really love it. I think they really commit to the sound that they're going for. It's got the gritty parts of the mixing and sounding maybe like a little rough around the edges, but it still knows where to be tight too. Um, and yeah, I think I also appreciate just their aesthetic. Kind of looking at some of their live videos, especially with their new vocalist, they even look the part of like a MySpace deathcore band.
Right.
Um, and I think that's really cool because, we've kind of talked, there's so many different parts of this revival of, bands that are kind of like building on the sound or kind of like creating just fun new sounds with this. But Reverend just is like a band that seems like, no, we're just going to bring it back and do it as well as we can nowadays.
It really took me back to like hearing the first Chelsea Grin EP. It has that same kind of production style. It's really just aggressive and in your face. The high screams. Every EP we're going to talk about today, all the vocalists are amazing, but the high screams are just gnarly on this one, and the snare tone was a big thing for me too. I really enjoyed how present the snare was. So I can't remember if this was one of the ones that had Hunter Young produce it, but damn, dude, those type of snares are just killer. So the guy from Psycho
I'm
Frame.
not sure. Uh Yeah, something you brought up the intro, Dylan. Like I love the intro of this. That's one of my favorite tracks on this. Like it just builds everything perfect, and when he comes in and like it took me forever to figure out like till I got the record to figure out like what he was saying there, and I don't know. It just once I figured that out, I'm like that just makes it even better because he just says, "So where the fuck have you been?" right there, and so like it just makes it even better because it doesn't sound like that's what he says at all, and it just sets it perfect. And then that the way that track ends, you know, it just they do like a really they take the breakdown, but they make it give it they blah blah blah. They give it like a two-step feel there for a second, and it like really cuts it out, and then they drop it back down slow again. It's really cool, like just the way they did that, and it's such a simple track, but it's just it works so well. And I like the other one, the second track, I believe it is the "My Hand Your Demonic"
Hmm.
up with Jesse's voicemail. That was great. That the
Yeah.
first time I think that was one of the first tracks I heard from them actually was that song, and that's what like kind of hooked me on it. I was like, I got to hear more of them. Like then, yeah. The and then the new singles have if you guys haven't listened to the two new singles they've released, they just released one the other day that's really good, and then they have another one that they released a few months ago that's it builds on this sound from the EP, but it's still like the same sound. Like it's really good. I I really enjoy it a lot.
Yeah, I need to spend some more time with the new stuff. They might be releasing a new album soon, actually. I can't remember.
I think
Um,
I've heard that as well.
yeah. But yeah, they're a band that I could see, if they keep going down this path, yeah, creating some really standout tracks in the future too. They're a band, yeah, probably one of my most anticipated bands just to see what they end up doing.
Right. Like and I was gonna add like this came out in 24 I think or 23. I'm not 100% certain. But these guys are like young. Like they were only like 15, 17 years old when they wrote this EP. So like
That's
that's wild
crazy.
as hell too. So like it's like, you know, it's not just some like older dudes that are like, oh, we want to make music that sounds like what we used to listen to. You know, they're creating like, I don't know, that's wild to me. I think that's one of my favorite parts about a lot of the revival bands is they're like really young kids like that are doing this, and it's
They
crazy as
found some
hell.
deathcore CDs in their dad's truck, and they were just like, "Whoa, we could do
Yeah,
that."
uh-huh, 100%. But yeah, otherwise, the mix is one of my other favorite things about this one as well. I like that it just captures everything, like the vocal, the tone is just it's perfect. Not, I don't know, I wouldn't say it's perfect, but you know what I mean. It just fits
Yeah.
what they were going for. I felt like it just grabbed what they were trying to get, is what it felt like.
Yeah. Logan, you mentioned something about like the sections and the riffs that they wrote. And yeah, I totally agree with especially I think that's a thing that sets them apart. Sometimes with the revival stuff that's happening, one of the things I see bands maybe not nailing as well is maybe how they're doing their sections, how they transition into a new piece, or like, there's sometimes where it's just like this part just feels a little forced just to have the two step in there, or just
Yeah,
to have the breakdown circle back, and I'm just kind of like, if you would have just left that out, it would have been fine. But I think that's something that these guys do really well is being able to throw in all those things you're looking for, but it fits the song really well.
I agree
Yeah,
with
it's
you
not
for
just
sure.
breakdown after breakdown. It's the yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
that's all I got there.
Alrighty. So one of the ones that I wanted to talk about is tracheotomies, fixed propensity or prosperity for destruction. I think all these big
Title right
words.
there.
Yeah. Uh, and I think it's a little tricky to put these guys in a revival video. They definitely started off with a lot more of that influence. And this newest release, I think maybe is a little outside of that sound now, but I think they're great. They were kind of on the forefront of this revival that's been happening. So they're a really great example of what can happen if these bands keep going for a good amount of years. So I started listening to Tracheotomy in like 2021, I think, with their first single, and I remember just seeing like they were super young, kind of what Logan you were saying earlier of like they don't really seem like the guys that grew up with this sound. They just seem like they found it and really enjoyed it. Um, so I instantly started following them and was like, I think these guys could really do something special. Um, I got really lucky. They came through Des Moines, and it was a double tour night. So there's two separate tours that were booked for the same night. So they actually just combined tours. So it was Enterprise Earth, Left to Suffer, and Fury, Crown Magenter, and then
Magnetar.
Tracheotomy. So
Yep.
Crown Magnetar,
Sorry,
and then
sorry.
Tracheotomy.
Dude, that's a
So it
killer
was like a
lineup.
huge lineup. Yeah. And you know, listening to this newest EP from them, the biggest thing that I hear is they have definitely been listening to those other bands they're touring with,
Through
and
the Eyes of the
taking a lot
Dead.
of
Mm-hmm.
advice. Uh-huh. Like, yeah, you can just hear from their first releases, which are still great, but they've built so much on that sound of adding more melodic elements, more leads in there. I think the songwriting has gotten a lot stronger. Um, yeah, just everything has gotten a lot stronger. I think Brandon in the chat was talking about how some of the sections are just like you would not expect that from listen to this, you know, you'd expect maybe more of a typical route, and then they throw something in like a great build up to a breakdown. And I hear those things, you know, I'm like, you know, that sounds very Enterprise Earth of how they've evolved their sound and some other bands. What did you guys think about it?
I thought it was phenomenal. I enjoyed it front to back. I'm a big fan of the first EP. I think it's Dissimulation. Maybe I'm saying it wrong. Cool. Big fan of that one. I hadn't caught up yet. My listen to stack is way too big these days, so that one has been sitting in my back pocket. So I was really excited when Dylan put that out there. So I was like, cool. Now I have a reason to listen to it. Uh, but yeah, from front to back, it was amazing. Intro had me cracking up. I was telling him earlier when it just breaks. They're having breakdown section, and then he's just like, to be honest, cuz I never really liked you, and then they just start with another breakdown, and it's like, yeah, that had me from the
Yeah.
beginning, and then they have some really big epic buildups. The drums they really set the mood for a lot of what they've got going on. They have these longer sections that it sounds more cohesive as a band. It doesn't sound like they're just we're going to throw a riff here now and then we're going to transition out of it. It's a really slow burn where the vocals are carrying everything and the drums are bringing the tension up until they finally get there. And you can see, you know, for being on tour with like Through the Eyes of the Dead and Oceano and shit, they've been out with everybody basically at this point. So yeah, they've got a lot of influences, I'm sure, but they themselves are they're killing it for some young dudes that have only been a band for maybe 4 years. So yeah.
Yeah, I would completely agree. Like that's one thing. Like I listened to it, and then you said that in our chat the other day about them having that Through the Eyes of the Dead kind of
Mm-hmm.
sound, and like because I've listened to the first EP a lot, but this one I hadn't listened to much. Yeah, I don't know. After that, like listening and go approaching it with that, it was a different. I really enjoyed it a lot more. Yeah, and touching back to like what you were saying, Dylan, was this one is definitely like on that realm of like, is it still in the revival realm? You know, like there's a lot of those bands that I feel like started out in the revival and their sound started there, but it's evolved past that. I feel like it's not. I don't know. Their production has gone up. Their production's gone up enough to where like I feel like to be in the revival, you have to have that raw production because that's like what
Mm-hmm.
makes it, I guess, for me. Like I don't, you know, I'm not I don't want to hear the perfect production. Like I do, like, but it still is like when it's the revival, like if I'm going in to listen to those style of bands, like I hope that it still has that rawness. But I do feel in parts that they still like capture that, like, and they still bring the clips back, like in because you know there's some of these bands that they don't even they don't use clips anymore. You know, they've
Mm-hmm.
cut that out of it, and I think that's a big part of the revival as well. I just yeah, I enjoyed the intro a lot, and then I enjoyed "Stifled" by Dominance. That was one of my favorite songs in this on this EP. or is it an album or EP? I can't remember.
I think
It's
it's an
somewhere in
EP.
between. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of yeah, well,
Phosgene
whatever it is.
Bloodstream was the one for me. That I think that's the one that had the really epic build up. That
The
one was
very
good.
last track, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the one that I wrote down was Endear the Play.
Mm-hmm.
I just remember there's some really awesome headbanging riffs, which I feel like sometimes metal bands miss out on that moment to just, uh, have that straightforward headbanging sound. And the last minute of that song is just crazy. They have some just standout moments all across this where I think it goes above a lot of other bands right now where they're creating these kind of epic moments across their music. Uh, but yeah, I agree. It's cool, seeing a band that this could be what a lot of other bands do. I think as we go along, this is a band I hope just keeps growing
Mm-hmm.
outwards. Because I see that from so many other bands like that were a part of the MySpace scene. The ones that really lived and kept growing were they kept growing musically too, and the revival is a great thing, and I think there will be always bands that keep nailing that sound and do that right, like Reverent, for example. I think that's a great lane for them. But Tracheotomy, I could see them just continuing to get bigger and bigger with their sound and leading to even better opportunities too.
I think they definitely are in a good position to continue on with their trajectory where they could get picked up by a major label because they're going out on all these big tours and rubbing elbows with all these big bands. I wouldn't be shocked to see them end up some maybe. I mean, Metal Blade would be fucking killer, but anywhere that'd be
That
fun.
would be
So
sick.
yeah.
They did a video, I can't remember for which song, but for on LCY Media or whatever on their YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
They always
Yep.
do like the black and white. I love their music videos. I love that aesthetic to music videos, just black and white and a white screen. Like I think it looks cool as shit. They did the video that they did is like one of my favorites, and that it's awesome. Like they are young kids, Like I think the oldest member is the drummer, isn't it? If I remember
Not even
right.
sure.
The
Yeah.
vocalist looks really young.
Yeah, and his voice is insane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't
He's
know.
got a
They get
really
it.
unique sound.
Well, you guys got any more for that one?
I think I'm good.
That's all I had. That's all I
Cool.
had.
Well, let's move on. I got one here. So, Girl of Glass. They are a Texas-based band. The first time I heard them, they did a live video, and I remember everybody was sharing it. They hadn't had any. I don't think they had any EPs out at that time, but they played a live video. It was at Equal Parts Brewery in Texas, and everybody was just beating the shit out of each other. The kind of thing you love to see. They have members of another band, Corpse Pile. They've done some releases through Don't Stress Flower Press. They're a label that we enjoy quite a bit that is a big part in this revival. If you're a big fan of pingy snare and crazy blowing out 808s, then this is the release for you, my friend. You got 8 minutes to spare. It's a good 8 minutes. It reminds me, like the 808s remind me of when I was in They Will Repent and we had the sample pad and Brad would just hit this ridiculous overblown 808 and the sound guys hated us. So that takes me back there. This EP was really cool. It reminded me personally, it's got a lot of the early We Are the End vibes and maybe some, I felt some Rose Funeral in there. My honorable mentions for this release, there's only 4 tracks. So my favorite, I think, was Heart Upon Stone. There's a really, really solid 2-step that happens about midway through the track. And Exit Stage Left is really cool. It's just a short instrumental vibey track, but it's really cool. So I would say check that one out.
Pretty much had like the same notes as you. Like you and I discussed it earlier. It's 4 songs. Like so, I mean, there's only so much, but it is like it's absolutely wild what they've been able to achieve off of just 4 songs. Because I don't know if they've released anything since. They've alluded to that they have new stuff, but they've never released anything like that. But yeah, the snare tone and the 808s like are just insane. The snare tone is what does it for me. I love that metallic-y, just like pingy. I love that in that old stuff. Yeah, and I like that how they set it up. It's just like three just unhinged, just angst, aggression tracks, and then it's just a really calm, like chill track to end everything. I like it a lot. It's wild. My favorite song is the first song is Bloody Knuckles. I know there's more to the title, but that's my favorite. I like the way that it comes in with the girl talking and stuff. Like I don't know, it just sets the mood. I think it's cool.
Where they just keep saying "Girl of
Yeah.
Glass."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when this came out, it immediately was something everybody was into it. I was seeing everywhere. It's got a pretty iconic logo and pretty iconic art to it, so that really got me to check it out too. Um, yeah, I really like this. To me, they are very similar to Reverent in that way of
Mm-hmm.
the big blown out, super heavy. But I think that electronic element that they just kind of weave in there here and there, and then that last song, that Exit Stage Left, yeah, it really is just kind of an instrumental vibe thing. But to me, that was like, if this EP is so short, it's really like a teaser to something bigger. And
Mm-hmm.
that's my hope, I guess. I hope they do something bigger.
Right.
But to me, like everything was great, and then that I was like, okay, I need to keep following these guys because if they can keep building on this and keeping and incorporating some of those electronic influences, like
Mm-hmm.
this could be something really special and really stand out. So yeah, really cool. It kind of reminds me of almost even I've been listening to some old Bring Me the Horizon, kind of that era of music, which little past the MySpace, I guess, or towards the end of it. But yeah, which is a really cool because it's got that more original deathcore sound, but just mixing in something new that at least haven't heard a whole lot of. So um, I think it's cool, and I'm really excited to hear more for them in the future. Hopefully, they are able to keep putting out some music. But yeah, also shout out, what is it? Don't Stress Flower Press.
Hmm.
Yeah, shout out. They're constantly putting out great stuff.
Just Girl of Glass, for example, they have sold out of every press of their CDs that they've done. I think they've done like maybe at least three. I don't know if they've done four. And Logan, have you got your vinyl yet?
I have not. The vinyl's being pressed by Force of Reckoning, I believe,
Mm-hmm. But this
on
is like
that one.
that's like they've done two presses of
Second
those and they've
press.
sold out
Yeah.
instantly as well. So big ups
Yeah,
to
I'm
all of the
excited for
marketing
that.
at Don't Stress Flower Press.
Yeah,
We love those dudes. They're killing it. So okay, well, are we
cool.
got any more questions on that release, boys?
I think I'm
That's
good.
all I had. I'm sorry, it's just a short one.
No, no.
Yeah, seriously.
So before we move on, I want to switch gears slightly here. I got a question for both of you. We're gearing up for Backwoods Fest stuff, so we're trying to come up with some goofy questions that we can ask bands. So I'm going to sacrifice one of our good ones because I like you guys. So, what's the largest land animal that you think that you could take in a death match, one on one, with your bare
I'll let you go
hands?
first.
With your bare hands.
Bare hands, one on one. I feel like I'm gonna play it safe and maybe get creative of like, what about like a big deer or something like.
You think you could take a deer? They survive getting hit by a car sometimes.
No shit.
I'll just like suplex it or something. I don't know, but it doesn't have a lot of ways to fight. It could like headbutt me, I guess, or stomp me. But
I'm just picturing that scene in Me, Myself, and Irene, I think, where he's trying to get the cow out of the road. He's like, yeah, he just hits it
Yeah.
with the elbow.
yeah, they're a little more. I think I could take them easier than a cow, but I know I'm not putting up much of a fight against anything much bigger than that.
Logan looks like he's
Yeah.
still thinking about it, so I got.
No, I guess I don't know. I'm kind of a bitch and I already know that, so like I'll admit it, like I'll own it, I don't care. So like mine would probably be like a goat at max, like it could have like small horns, but that's like as max as I'm going, like yeah, I already know it.
I want to go a
I'll own
little
it
bit.
for sure.
I want to go a little bit higher of what I'm confident I think I could do it, but it's like 50-50. I might die. I think I could take an ostrich. I know that they can run like 26 miles an hour, but their necks are so long. If I just get a good grip on that thing, man, I think I could take care of him.
It's a big bird.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I think they got talons or something too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd like to say
Stupid
like I could
llamas.
take a dog, but it's like, dude, I bet I get taken out by a dog also. So it's kind of relative. Like my neighbor's little
I think
dog
the
is really
main issue-
ferocious.
I think the main issue for me is the lack of will to want to kill something. Where it's like,
Yeah.
especially like I said, a deer. And now I'm thinking around like, even if I was a life and death situation, I don't know if I could just look at a deer and be like, all right, I'm gonna take you out right now. Hunting's one thing.
You just like put
that's-
'em
but,
up.
Yeah. Yeah, if I'm in like an arena with a deer, I'm just gonna maybe not have the will to do that.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if it's like a full grown like deer or not steer, a stud, he might take you out. You never know. But I'm gonna
He's probably
change my
got, like,
answer
little
to
baby
goldfish.
Cool.
I guess
Watch that.
I said land animal. I think either way. Anyway, all right, you
I'd
guys
spend
ready to
some
move
time
on?
land. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm gonna start off since if that's okay with you guys.
Yeah.
I
Go for it.
got another short one here for the gang. So, Peacemaker, based out of Florida. Their name is Peacemaker FL. So, it's First Degree, their first debut EP. They're phenomenal. Again, I feel like they're a bunch of younger guys. I think that they have the guitar player from Tactosa. After that band split up, they have him. They have the perfect garbage can sound. It sounds like somebody threw a fucking four-square ball right into your face, and you just hear that ping. The mixing's really good on this release. I enjoyed this one quite a bit. It's another one of the candidates I think that will be perfect for them to transcend the sound of the Revival in that regard. They have the gang chants that we all love from classic deathcore. The guitars were a little bit more technical in this band in some regards. I enjoyed they have some sweep sections where it's really setting a lot of atmosphere in the background. The drums really focus a lot more on carrying the groove throughout majority of the transitions, and that's really cool. And the feet, just, man, he's cooking the whole time. He's so fast. 1,000 Cuts is a really good one. I enjoyed that quite a bit. And Kyle Medina's feature was phenomenal too. I really enjoyed that. That's all I got.
This was my first time. This is my first time listening to Peacemaker, and I was really impressed. I think right now with the wave of bands coming out and doing cool stuff, they were kind of one that I missed out on originally. So this is really great to check out. I think one thing that they did really well was the production behind it. It just kind of felt like you were in a dark place the whole time. Like it's gritty, and I felt like I was like in a Saw movie or like a back alley kind of vibe. And the drum work was super stand out to me of really original drumming, knowing when to just hold it down really tight, and then knowing when to throw in a lot of cool fills and nice transition work. The two songs that stood out to me, Cease to Exist, I really loved. It's super heavy. I really loved when the subtle choir came in the background. I thought that was something that just, I'll always love a good choir and heavy music, but they did that really well where it didn't feel like it was as much as like a forefront thing, but it was just subtle enough where you knew it was there and almost made it more eerie. But the one thing with that song is there's like a breakdown at the end that just, I feel like kind of took me out of it, where it kind of led to this really dark place and then just transitioned into a breakdown right at the end. And I think that's part of bands kind of finding their sound right now of, they're trying a lot of cool things, and for some people that might hit. For me, it didn't as much. To me, it was kind of an opportunity of like, maybe you don't get that final breakdown in, but I think it could have been a better song, like a more well-written song without it. So it's hard. It's, to get all those cool moments because, heavy bands a lot are thinking about what it's going to do live too, which gets difficult, especially songwriting wise, where you really don't want to lose people during songs. So Five Ways to Hide a Dead Body was another pretty good standout track for me. Just yet like crushing heavy, which is awesome. The vocals across this whole album are just so like heavy and brutal. It's the kind of vocals that are like borderline. You can't even understand what they're saying, and that I'll keep it that way. like, um, uh, I think the one thing, like, typically in metal, I'm not a huge fan of like the repeated lyric, like over and over and over again. Sometimes it just doesn't hit for me right, but this is one where, with the production and just how heavy everything is, it really actually worked in its favor. Where, like, the thought that I have is like, sometimes you only need one sentence to let somebody know how much you hate them. Like, that's the vibe I got. Was just like, these guys are just so pissed and so heavy that they don't need to write metaphors. It's just like, fuck you, dude.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. That these guys are they're one of my favorites. I like them because I love that a lot of the album is just. I mean, there's like a lot of cool riffs in there, but they like breakdown after breakdown after breakdown after breakdown just throughout, and I love that because like I love like original like era like Acacia Strain and that with DL, and that's like all the guy wrote was just like breakdowns with a riff to like his riffs were his transitions with the breakdowns being the main part, you know. And it's like I love bands that do that, and like that was something that they did in Acacia Strain in the early days, like you were talking about, where they repeat a lyric in like a certain part just over and over and over for like a minute sometimes on tracks, and they were like pros at it, like they knew the formula how to do it, so it was you didn't get bored with it. And I feel like Peacemaker somehow found that formula, and like they do it very well as as well. Like it's nice to like hear that. I like that aspect a lot. Uh, it I like all the hidden like horror movie references in this. I listen to these guys talk to the. There's two vocalists on this in this band. I listened to them talk on the Brutality podcast a while back, and it's really cool. Like their concept of it is like basically like the whole thing's told from the killer's perspective type of thing. So I thought that was kind of cool to like listen to it in that from that vantage point or viewpoint. But yeah, I don't know. I think they're a really solid band and just a lot of fun to listen to. I enjoyed this release a lot. There's a
I
track on there
didn't
I
know.
can't. Oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
sorry. I was gonna say I didn't know about the killer's viewpoint of that. That's a really
Hmm.
cool element.
Yeah,
Yeah, just even thinking back right now, I'm like, yeah, that kind of changes how
yeah.
you think about it. And yeah, very
In
cool.
1,000 cuts, there's a lyric at the end when it really like smacks that he says, "I want to see who you are on the inside," and like that
Hmm.
always like that was like the first thing that like stuck out to me like after hearing them talk about that. That like that makes so much more sense. Like hearing it like all hit like I don't know that's like the big one for me on that. I love that song. That's my favorite. I go back to that one a lot. And there's only one guitarist too. I thought that was crazy. That it's just
Wow.
when they play live, it's two vocalists and a guitarist, and I believe they backtrack bass and a drummer.
Shit.
It's like
That's
that's
wild.
nuts. Yeah. So I mean, the stage wouldn't be crowded. It'd be crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to see a live video now that I think about that. But I'm pretty certain that's how they run it on the one I've seen. I've seen them play on like a stage floor on YouTube. Like
That's pretty
just like a
cool.
it's just a flat floor. But yeah, that's all I had for that one.
Yeah, I don't have anything for that one. So
All right.
Cool.
Uh, I'll go
Um,
next. I'll do.
yeah.
We can go next. We'll go to I Saw God. I'm cool with that.
Yeah,
Uh,
that works for me.
all right. Uh, so we're gonna do I Saw God, Echoes of a Dying World. This one is one of my favorite revival releases. Uh, right from the opening track, like just the way that they set a vibe. There's a vibe set like right away, and then just the way that the first riff comes in on this one, it just has like that agonizing, like eerie build to it, like, and it just I don't know. I just really like riffs like that. It really just sets the tone for how the rest of this EP is going to be. Uh, the vocals and drums are out of this world on this one. I think they're really good. The vocalist of this band does a really good job of like really capturing that crazy high pitched like old school MySpace sound, like
He's got a
the
very
old.
unique high. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, I would agree completely. Uh, the the drums are nuts. Like I mean, just all the bands are like that we've talked about tonight. Yeah, the drums are just crazy. But for me, like, I don't know, as a guitarist, this is like one of my favorite Revival ones. Like, I like
They got
the
riffs, man.
the riffs and the
Yeah.
arrangement of it. I just like all of it, like how it's all done. I mean, it's nothing like insane or like out of like just out of this world, but it's awesome, and the way it's arranged just works really well. I think, like, yeah, and I thought it was cool that the guitarist Zach Diebold, I believe is his name, or Diebold, I'm not sure how you pronounce the last name. He actually wrote all of this by himself and then found people to like online to like learn the parts and like whatever, make them their own type of thing to play live. So I thought that was a really cool thing. And listening to him talk about that as well, when he was writing this EP, it he made it seem like ahead of time he had like I wrote this part and it's going to be like Austin Hayes or it's going to be the Yan, like there's he has Yan on a track. Like, come on, that's crazy. That's wild. Like, uh what else? There's some
Shout out the
cool
Yan.
things. Yeah, right?
We know you're watching.
Right? Yeah, I thought it was cool. He's also he filled in for Thus Spoke Zarathustra, or however you
Hmm.
pronounce that, uh, on them on some of their earlier runs. So if you ever see the live videos where there's three guitarists, he's that extra guitarist. I thought that was cool to find
That's
out.
cool.
Yeah, I thought that was really neat. My favorite track on here is Gooner to a Goblin or I'll Show You
Yeah,
God.
mine
Those are my
too.
two favorites. They're both just great. I don't know. Gooner to a Goblin's great. It's awesome. The notable or the honorable mention for me is the very last track, Lacrimosa. Like it's just kind
Hmm.
of like a I don't know. It's like it feels like it's the EP's like ballad, but like feels like it brings the EP to a close the way that it ends. Like so, like a lot of times you don't hear that on like EPs. They're just kind of like, well, that's there's here's what we got for you, and it's over. And I felt like sorry, felt like there was like closure to it, So it was nice. And yes, he did mention in a podcast I listened to with him on there that he has four more EPs already wrote that are ready to go. They plan to like release like one every quarter for like the next year is what he kind of alluded to.
Crazy.
So that would be
That's
nuts.
crazy.
That would be nuts if that really holds true because yeah, my
I need to
wallet
find that.
is not
Yeah, I know.
excited though. Like
I need to
yeah,
find that CD, man. That's gonna be
the
not
repress with
cheap.
the repress. You can get the repress with the curly art. I have that one here. They have the
That
CD repressed with the curly art on the whatever on the
It's
DDR
still
website
available.
right now. Yeah, it's still available. They have that and the Peacemaker with the curly art, the curly alt art. They're both still available. They're
You'll have
both
to
on
send me that
tour
link
together
later.
right now as well. Yeah, I can do that. But yeah, they're both on tour together right now as well. Uh,
That's sick.
yeah, thought that was really cool. So yeah, all those CDs that they sell on that from that as well go to funds directly to them for whatever getting around on tour as well. So that's really cool. So help them out if you listen to this.
Support
Yeah.
the boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's all I had for I Saw God. What do you guys got?
Take it, Brandon.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's another one of those ones that goes by really fast. I enjoyed quite a bit of it. The first song I listened to, I didn't think I think it was the original like single. It wasn't the actual EP version, and I didn't really enjoy the mix that much. And then when I actually started the full EP, I was like, oh, okay, this is really good. Then I enjoyed. My favorite was Destroy, Defy, Dispose. There's a lot of the whole thing front to back's really good, to be honest with you. And the fact that it's just one dude who wrote it all and then brought other people in makes it really cool. I don't know. Because I mean, if it was just him, it wouldn't be as exciting. But you found actual people, and they learned it, and then they put their spin on it. And yeah, they've sounds like they've been a commodity. They did the vinyls were through Deathly Decibels, right?
Yeah,
Which
Deathly Decibels Records, I believe is what it's called. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then
I enjoyed it
the
quite
guy
a
that
bit.
did the mix and master was New Apocalypse Production.
No, not familiar
He
with that.
apparently does a lot of these revival bands, I guess. So I
Huh,
thought
that's
that was
sweet.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of this band before, as I got, so this was a new one for me as well, which was a really fun listen. Gaza was a really big standout track for me. I thought it was really cool just to hear a band be able to hit that, like how heavy a song is, but incorporate these current events into it. I think that's something I'd love to see more bands be able to expand on. I love the horror elements and the like killer elements. Those are classic, of course, and they always work. But yeah, being able to mix in some of those different topics where it really makes you think. I mean, and think about in heavy music how we could talk about those things still and kind of create that new wave art with it. So I really appreciated that, and just it's still a great, well-written song, but the fact that they were able to cover something like that is also super important. The ending of that song, it's got like a solo or kind of like a guitar lead going on with the toms, was just super cool. Something I don't hear a lot in deathcore right now, where able to like drop back and just play a cool lead or play a cool solo over some bouncy toms. I loved the vocals across the whole thing. It's got a really unique sound to them. I think they're a band that if I heard them in a playlist or, just surfing online, I would know who they are when I hear it, kind of thing, which is hard to stand out in that way. Sooner to a Goblin's another one I really loved. I love the feature from Andy Reynolds from Thus Spoke Zarathustra, or however you say it.
We need to get them on here just so we can figure out how to say that.
Zarathustra.
Zarathustra. Something along those lines.
Yeah. Because I always put an R after that, but there's no R there, if I remember right.
Yeah, I think it's cool that these bands are all collaborating too. I think that's something that made early heavy music really special, was everybody was supporting everybody to do the coolest, make the best music, and kind of the competition was put aside and just in favor of collaboration. So seeing all these guest features across all these EPs was a really cool thing for me, and it's a great way to find new bands too. So it's, if you start going down the rabbit hole of finding of wanting to get into the revival, just every feature you hear, go check out their band. You're gonna just keep going down the rabbit holes. But
that's what happened to me.
exactly. But yeah, super cool EP. Another band I'm excited to see what they keep doing.
I didn't really have anything else to it. Yeah. Another thing I thought was really cool, the guy that wrote it, Zach, he's a vocalist. He was not like, he kind of learned to play guitar, it seemed like, because of COVID, basically. Like, he
cool.
kind of could go bum 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 before is what he made it sound like, and then he knew, figured it out. So I thought that was neat.
That's wild.
Now he has released this, and I think that's pretty sick.
That's super cool. Nice. Ready to go into the last one? Is this the last one?
Yep.
Nice. So I brought something a little out of the normal lane of all these other releases, but I think it still fits in the somewhat category. Had to keep it interesting. But Balmora and Since My Beloved's Six Packs Etched in Blood EP. This was the one that hadn't heard of either band before that came out, but God, I'm totally blanking on who. I think it was Days Records that may have released that, or they at least promoted it in some way. So I heard that and I just instantly fell in love, especially with the Balmora side of the split. They're a band that I've been able to see a few times now. If you ever have the chance, go catch them. They're crazy live and super talented. Um, they also have a new set of singles out. I think it's 3 songs. So I thought this would have a little more to cover than the new EP that they released. But they're a band that just really nails that melodic, hardcore, metalcore sound in a way that is just paying like such great tribute to the sound. You hear so many influences from across it, but they create it in just a new way where it really creates a great atmosphere, which I've kind of hinted that I'm a big fan of when metal bands can create that atmosphere, and they really take you someplace. And I think the mixing and the production on this is just right where it needs to be. I think Logan's kind of mentioned it that he likes that gritty sound to the Revival,
Yep.
the bands, and I think these guys really nailed that sound where it's clean where it needs to be, but still has that rough and that not just clean cut production across the board. So yeah, shout out Balmora, one of my favorite bands right now for sure.
I was pretty bummed that I missed them when they were here recently. They played at the Shelter, I'm pretty sure. So,
Yeah,
um,
yeah, they've been here a few times.
Yeah, I was gonna say they've been here a few times and I've missed them like every time.
aren't they going to be here with Girl of Glass on that same show that's
Yeah,
coming up?
yeah.
All right, we
Uh-huh.
got to go to that one,
Really?
guys. We got
I
to go
know.
to that.
Yeah.
I want to go so bad.
Um, yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this one, dude. I know, like you said, it's kind of a step in a different direction from all of the straight up deathcore stuff we've been talking about. This, the mix on this one does not bother me at all. I mean, it is a little older school, but it transports you back to that time. It reminded me of a lot of big. It's almost like pre-deathcore. It's like when metalcore was kind of transitioning. They started throwing in some like tasteful blasts and stuff like that, and a little bit more fancy footwork. But this reminded me a lot of the Damascus Intervention. I know you guys might not be familiar with them. They only did like one short EP, and also Prayer for Cleansing was like some of the early what I would say proto deathcore bands. Like I think Prayer for Cleansing was like in 1997. I could be wrong about that, but anyway, it's very harmony based. They do a lot of really cool melodic harmonies and a lot of really cool like 2000s early grooves. I am guilty because I can't remember any of the song titles on this one for the split because I focused on just Balmora, but I do remember the third track being my favorite. It was very epic. So
Uh, yeah, I really enjoyed this one too. One thing that I've like stumbled into that I think is really cool along with the deathcore revival is there's kind of like um I don't a MySpace like metalcore revival within it, and I love it. There's a lot of different bands coming back. These are two of my favorites. I really enjoyed both of them on this EP. Since My Beloved has a full length that's out that you guys should totally check out. I think you would enjoy them a lot more if you didn't enjoy their side as much on this. I think the other has a way more to offer than this did
okay,
for them. I think you'd enjoy that a lot. Uh, but yeah, I'm glad that the sound came back as well. Like it's just really cool that it I don't know to hear the melodic hardcore like you were saying with the more of that metalcore side.
hmm
I like those like I don't know shreddy style like touch riffs where they're dude like that fun stuff. Like it's just I like that stuff and they do that kind of stuff in there, but it's raw and it sounds really good. I like that both bands use singy choruses. I'm not always a huge fan of that, but they do it like tastefully because they don't like try to be like we're gonna do it in every song. It's like each of them. I think each of them do it once on this EP in one song, and but my favorite is Balmora's when in their song "Walk the Times Before." That I think, or "Unlike the Times Before." That's my favorite song on the EP. Uh, they do like a singing chorus in like the middle of it, and it's just like one line for like maybe 5 seconds, and it jumps back into like a blasty, like really cool part. It's really awesome. Since My Beloved, I really enjoyed Fall's Narrow Corridor as well. That's one of my favorites. They're just again just yeah, really cool bands that just bring back that different side of MySpace that
Mm-hmm.
I don't know isn't getting as much love, but I think should too as well.
Yeah, I think the way they write all their songs, because even their newest release, I think, is really something special too, and still goes in the same vein that they're in. But I think their songwriting is what really sets them apart. Where, the sound alone that they're doing, I think, is so nostalgic. A lot of people will really like it, and I think especially people that grew up at least around that music, you hear it and it kind of just takes you back instantly. It sounds like you're listening to something that you would have heard on MySpace or somebody would have burned you a CD of. So, but I think their songwriting is like, how epic they can create in moments and how powerful they can be while still maintaining that. That's just something that separates them from a lot of other bands right now. And yeah, I think they're only going to continue. Their newest stuff, I think, is even another great step forward. And they're constantly touring, I feel like. And I was also going to shout out, I think it's Ashura, is another band that's in the same vein. And I think it's the guitar player from Balmora doing vocals in that project. So it
You
seems
told
like
me
all the,
you said that to
yeah.
them in our chat. Yeah, I did check them out. Now that you say that,
Yeah,
sorry to interrupt you.
their last tour, it was the Torture tour with Balmora, Ashura, and there's somebody else I'm blanking. But I had listened to a little bit of Ashura, and then I saw them, and I was like, that's a Balmora guitar player. So I hadn't put those dots together until then. But yeah, so they seem really committed to really drilling into this sound, finding what works, continuing to build on top of it. And I think there's something to just be said. We kind of kept coming back to this topic of what the future of the revival sound is in general. So these guys seem to be a part of that, where they seem like they're just going to keep nailing that sound and growing on it, but really just staying in that area, which I think is super important. And it's a great way to get more people to go back and check out some of that old music that maybe they missed out on, or at this point maybe they weren't even born yet or weren't
Right.
online yet, which is kind of scary to think about. Yeah, my big takeaway from all of this is, if you hear something that you like from any of these revival bands or any of the bands we talked about, is they were inspired by something else that is also just as cool, and came about at a time where doing a lot of the stuff was a lot harder. So
And not as cool.
keep following that. Keep following down that rabbit hole in music, and go back 20 years, and you're gonna find some really good gems too.
There's one revival band that I always show people that like I work with or whatever, and talking about this, I get on a topic and I'm like, I'm gonna ramble to this person. I don't care if they want to listen or not. And so, but one band, like, this is what like MySpace used to sound like. If you ever listen to Donnie Brasco, they're a revival band, and
Yeah,
the production is like, it is what it is. It's terrible, but it's fucking awesome at the same time. I love every second of their EP that they have, and yeah, I always show people, like, you need to check these guys out, and then you can listen to the other stuff. You need to know what it sounded like, because I don't know, they do a real good job of capturing that. Like, this was recorded in our bedroom with a tape recorder, and then we just held a microphone to the tape recorder type sound. It's bad, but it's great. But yeah.
Well, so my question for you guys here, since we've run through all of these releases, and you can keep it brief, you can explain it. If you had to recommend one of these albums we've talked about to somebody, which one would it be? Whether it was one you picked yourself or one we've discussed as a whole. I would say Tracheotomy, personally. That one's still just like, I think any metal fan could find something in that they enjoyed, and very little that they did not. So that is my recommendation, and I honestly, personally, will put that 10 out of 10 stamp on that one for me. So good pick, Dylan.
Yeah, I would agree. And I would have to agree with you on that, just as like from a listener standpoint, because I feel like that would be the easiest one out of all of these for like a listener to approach, where you know, because all the rest of them are kind of like appealing to, it seems, more of like a niche crowd than what tracheotomy really is, or
Hmm.
is, I guess, as we were talking about. So I would definitely have to agree with you there. Uh, I don't know, but I would show them Girl of Glass, Sun Devouring a Saturn or something like that. Just let me
Hmm.
check this out. Right out of the gate, just
Let
explode
me
their
ruin your
eardrums.
day for. Hold up. Let me ruin your
Yeah,
day real quick.
you got a couple minutes?
Let's go sit in a burnout Honda Civic in a Walmart parking lot and turn the bass up too loud and see what happens.
We
I
time traveled back to 2011.
I think for me, I'll give you two answers. Where I think tracheotomy is, if somebody is into more modern metal and is wanting to explore outside of modern metal, I think this is a great release because it has the best of both worlds. Where it's easier to get into as maybe somebody that hasn't experienced, especially the like production, the blown out, the like even the violence aspect of old school deathcore. This is the one where you're going to have a little mixed bag, and you'll probably hear stuff you're more used to, but then mixed in with some of that old school sound. On the other hand, I think the Reverent EP is a great one for people that maybe are a little more familiar with, or they, people that even grew up on the OG deathcore sound, but haven't got to get into this wave of the revival yet. Um, I think it's just such a great take on the sound and modernizes it in a cool way, but stays so true to the sound of, yeah, just the blown out, the fun. This is it's just a crazy EP. But yeah, so I think if you're a little newer, need a little bit of a transition period, tracheotomy is great. If you're ready to dive in, Reverent will warm up your speakers fast.
Turn it down really quiet.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's all I got.
What would be your pick, Logan?
My pick.
If you would
Okay.
recommend one of them to somebody.
If I would recommend one of them to somebody, it would probably be the Balmora and Since My Beloved Split, because because my approach is always to, like, I want people to listen to more metal. Like, I don't
Hmm.
know, I don't know. That's my approach. So I'm like, this would be the easiest one, I feel like, that people could identify with. It's a lot more melodic, and it gives you an idea of what that sound is, but it doesn't quite dive full force into it. Uh, it offers different things, like the singing choruses and stuff like that in parts. I feel like it'd be a lot more approachable to be introducing the raw style production to people.
I would agree with that. I think that's a solid pick for a nice stepping stone for people that aren't as familiar, for even just like Dylan was saying, it just with deathcore in general. Like if you're just a metalhead and you're listening to Laser, this might be a good stepping stone for you. So,
Right.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
well, gentlemen, did we have any other things that we wanted to discuss tonight? Any questions?
Nothing off the top of my head. I think that's all I had tonight.
I think this revival scene is such a cool thing, and it's cool to see all the different the ways bands can keep growing. I've said it a lot, but I think it's important to say, I think it's going to be great when bands incorporate more modern elements. I think it's going to be cool when they incorporate other genres like Girl of Glass with the electronic elements. And then I think it's going to be really cool for the bands that just stick to that sound and just
Hmm.
really master it. So it's really cool to be at the forefront and be listening and appreciating these bands, because the hope is that in 5 years they're still all putting out music and still growing on that. So yeah, really cool to be talking about it right now, because yeah, a lot of these releases seem like there'll be stuff that stay in rotation for years to come.
I'm sure they'll definitely, continue on full steam ahead because they've had so much support. They've been killing it, even not even just locally, but yeah, they are touring around and they're selling out left and right with all their stuff through the labels the mini labels or whatever you want to call them that they're through. But they're killing it. It warms my heart to see all these younger kids out here better than us.
All right.
It's just really cool. Even in our local scene, I mean, we're getting some really cool younger guys that are killing it right now. I just want to take a quick
Yeah.
second to shout out Exiled, Habeas Corpus, and Overtire. They're all phenomenal up and coming metal bands here in our local scene. So, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, oh, Logan, go ahead. Sorry.
Nope, that's it. That's all I had.
That's it. It's over.
I was just agreeing with you is all I was doing.
Well, cool, guys. So it's been a lot of fun cutting it up here with you, as always, you know. So everybody listening out there, check out any of those releases we've talked about, you know. As always, we appreciate you guys for hanging out with us. Anybody in the comments that's lurking, you know, say some shit, you know, like some stuff. Let us know what you want to talk about.
Tell us what's up.
Yeah, for sure. And keep in mind, we're going to do our first in-person interviews of all time. We will be at Backwoods Fest Day 2, and we will be interviewing the bands. We are very excited. So come on out, hang out in the woods with us. Nothing weird's going to happen. We promise.
Bring us air conditioning.
Oh, God. Yes. Bring all the minifans.
Yes. With misters.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Well, everybody, again, it's been the Just Noise Boys for the second time. Join us every Monday. We're trying to get an episode out every Monday. So see you again next week. Thanks for hanging out. Peace.